man.
The man, the myth, the legend.
What?
We are here.
Me? You?
You,
You, brother.
you got like 100,000 followers on LinkedIn. Like it just went whoop. Contributor here, contributor there.
You know what's
Uh,
funny? You know what's funny?
Bicontinental. I mean,
Yeah, that's true. That part is true.
all of it's true. I'm speaking facts.
Man,
There's
it's
no
good to
fake news here.
there is no fake news here. There is no fake news here. Where are you?
In Greensboro.
You're in
I'm not
Greensboro.
bicontinental. I don't have places. I don't have a place here and a place there.
You got places. You got places. You have places in a lot of people's imaginations and hearts and souls, and you be helping people all over the world. So I don't want to hear it, including me.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds
Including me.
good. What sounds better is I got a place here and a place there.
You're hilarious, man. It's good to see you. And then you'll Jones on me because this is the equipment I have today. The light that you see on me is literally coming off the sea right now, just because it's 7 p.m. here. And I didn't expect to be, I'm in coastal Lebanon today. I didn't expect to be here today. So I got headphones. I'm just rolling with it. And I was like, normally I would have just canceled them and like, let me catch up with you when I get back in the States so I can at least have some decent. I was like, you and I have not caught up in 5 years. I think it's been 4 years, something like that. Maybe, maybe less. I don't know. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But
Too
I'm glad to
long.
see you today. It's been way too long. Yeah, for sure. It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you, brother.
Yeah,
You look
man.
well. You look
I'm,
well and
I'm,
wealthy.
I'm doing. You're funny. Hold on. Let me show you something because we haven't talked in so long. I want to show you. Let me take off this virtual background. Okay. I'm doing okay. My face is a little bit sun-kissed, but I just got here like 3 days ago. I just want to show you because nobody would ever think to come here, and I'm trying to flip the script and show people that just going to the Caribbean, while it's nice, there's so many other places in the world where you can be, as you know.
Wow.
And you're on your exit podcast, which we're going to talk about today. It's very timely for me because I'm exiting a lot of stuff, and we'll talk about it. I just want you to see this stuff.
That's gorgeous, man.
Yeah, man. And people, oh, it's always expensive. Is it? Have you been? $50 a day? Okay. I can live here for less than I would ever do in Washington, D.C. or anywhere else like that. It's just that people are wired to stick with safety and what they know, and they just don't go places, which I think is a shame, actually. So I just wanted to show you and stuff.
They are programmed in, but you
They are
stepped out.
programmed in,
You got
which
to
you
try
are.
life on. I can't wait to say it on the podcast. You guys got to try life on, man.
It's hard for me to even hear that phrase because I don't say it as much, but it's
Yeah.
true.
Don't worry. I
It's
got it.
true. We've
I
been
got it.
we've
Don't
been
worry.
we've been saying it. We've been saying the same thing in different ways since I met you. So I want to read this. I'm gonna read this, and then I'll just jump in. This will hit you a little bit. So all right. Today's guest is a full circle moment for me, and I typically don't even introduce people. I just kind of go right back into it, but it's very important that people understand the context of why you're here today. So back in 2019, I was on his podcast, Dream Catchers. I think it was Dream Catchers.
It was.
And during that interview, Jerome asked me something very simple but it hit me hard, and I was very resistant to the question, if you recall. He said, or Mr. Myers said, "Why don't you tell your story?" And I don't know if you remember asking me that question. I know exactly where I was. I was in a hotel in Fort Collins, Colorado,
Mhm.
working at the U.S. Department of Agriculture client site for Accenture in Colorado. Actually, that was a pretty cool client, actually. And you asked me that question, and it was in relation to all the careers and everything I had done. And that one question stuck with me, and it opened the door to I tell people, I give you credit on podcasts all the time. I tell people that it's because you asked me that question that all of this started. And it was effectively like Cool, you're a police officer. That's great. You gave back to local community. Cool, you're a dad. That's great. You're giving back to your kids. But if you've done all this shit, then why are you not giving back to everybody else? And that really, really stuck with me. So it eventually opened the door to what eventually became Try Life On. So if you followed my journey at all, this is the man who played a major role on it. Jerome Myers, brother, you are truly one of the most thoughtful people I know. Just for people's context, he left corporate after building a $20 million division. I remember that very well. Took the leap into real estate, coaching, personal transformation work. And what I love even more is that you're helping entrepreneurs and other people exit, which is very important. Helping entrepreneurs and high achievers figure out who they are after they leave the job, the company, the identity that they've outgrown. I've detached from many identities, and I can tell you it is not easy from personal experience. I'm going through it again. And he hosts multiple podcasts, mentors people all over the country, which is why I was rousing you about location, and genuinely live what you teach. And this episode is truly one about legacy, about telling truth, about what happens when you stop chasing titles. Jerome's been teaching the red pill method for a long time. He's been teaching real estate for a long time. He's been teaching people how to define their own version of success for a long time. I'm glad you're here, and let's get into it. And I will ask you the first question, which was, what did you mean when you asked me that question? What was going through your mind when you said, why are you not telling your story? One more thought, because we're going to talk about storytelling today.
Yeah.
Storytelling, because
Yeah.
I know it empowers a lot of the people you help. And
Yeah.
then we'll talk about all the other entrepreneurial stuff and everything like that.
Okay. We don't have to talk about any of that, but okay.
We'll see where it goes, brother. You know how
Yeah.
we are. Yeah.
That's awesome.
What was that question? What was that question? What was going through your mind when you asked me that question, or anyone that question for that matter?
Oh, well, you is different. You is different. So you got to remember context.
Mm.
So we were at the Ultimate Partnering event, and I'm in the crowd. It's my first real estate
Boston,
seminar, Boston.
2018.
And there's this guy that seems to own all of the real estate in the country on stage.
It
And
was good talk.
Raylisha said, "You need to go talk to this guy." And I was like,
Mm.
well, I need to go talk to this guy. And you were kind enough to offer me time. I was like, I know you're busy. Let's talk later. And it was in that moment you said, "You're different." And I was like, okay, here we go. So as I did research, as I learned more, as I asked around,
Mm.
the story just got more impressive. Like 5 languages, Haitian in Boston, go read a book and then go buy condos, pay condos
Mm.
off, make it through the recession, try out actor, like it's all of these things. And but if you look on the surface, it all just seems so moderate, right? There's no
Mm.
grand display. There's
Mm.
no Rolex. There's no Ferrari. There's no signaling of status or wealth. And so, in a world where people are presenting and posturing,
Mm.
you're
Mm.
going the exact opposite way. It's counterculture. And what I've realized is there are so many people out there looking for a beacon of light, a beacon of hope, that it's possible for them.
Mm.
And many times, and this was a lesson I learned in corporate, I had a guy in HR say, "Hey, when you've probably learned everything you need to know by watching Sesame Street." And we're having a diversity conversation at this point. He's like,
Mm. Mm.
"You go into a room and you're the only one that doesn't look like anything else in the room. Very quickly, it's easy for you to believe that you don't belong."
Mm.
And so when we talk about growth of wealth, accredited investors, independent wealth, generational wealth, time freedom, and I mean, you talk about the 5 freedoms, but if we just do time freedom, then
Mm.
we we live in this space where we don't really have many examples of people who didn't come from money to create true wealth and independence and agency.
Hmm.
sovereignty. These things escape us, and we just chase those or model those results of the people who are offering flash, not understanding
Yeah.
that most of them are actors.
Yep.
So knowing your story and actually knowing who you are, what you're about prior to having the interview gave me insight. And
Mm.
so the question was very much, and I've said a lot of words just to get to this point. The question was very much, why aren't you pulling the curtain back so that more people can see this is possible for them?
Yep. That was right. And I'll answer it now in reflection because I'm in a different space, obviously. And my answer now to your question back then, because I don't really think I answered it back then. I don't think I answered you. My answer now is because I did not know the things that you were saying applied to me. I was just doing what came to what I now understand is my inner voice, my inner conscious, let's say my super conscious voice. uh I was just following instinct the whole time. And I have to tell you, now I've become a big student of law of assumption, law of attraction, our subconscious, our conscious, our superconscious, and even universal conscious and things of that nature. And back then, what was happening to me was I was absorbing Yo MTV Raps. Remember that? I remember watching that thing all the time, and I remember feeling like I have to find a way not to look like that, but to have that level of freedom that young. That's what I vaguely remember. And then the rest of the story goes, I had that trip to France for 30 days. Then I saw a whole different part of the world at age 15. I felt something. And now what I understand that to be is like, oh, I was feeling the emotion of joy, and it stuck with me. It stuck with me that what I was searching for was actually joy. It wasn't money.
Yeah.
So I pieced together, okay, if I feel this kind of joy at 15, when I got to 21 and found that book, Personal Finance for Dummies, then I pieced the idea of passive income to time. And if I had time, I could always have experiences that would have that joy shit. It's like, this makes sense to me because everybody was running to corporate. I'm like, why is everybody running the same direction? I could not fundamentally understand it, although I knew I was going there. And then the second part of that is what, but you did all these things. Well, because I found out now in reflection that I could have joy by being a constant learner and doing different things to have all these emotions, which is what I fundamentally believe we are having this human experience to do, is to have joy, emotions, relationships, experiences. But everybody's chasing this thing called money.
Yeah.
I actually think now the thing that 23-year-old Maurice did right was he wasn't chasing money so much as he was chasing experiences and doing things, and money and thought process was dropping out as a byproduct.
Yeah. So I did 3 workshops for Vistage last week.
Yeah.
And the magic trick at the end, because I have people work on how they want to be remembered,
Hmm.
zero. None of them use any words like wealthy, prosperous, rich in
Mm-mm.
their
Mm-mm.
description. And
Mm-mm.
whether you want to call it a eulogy, whether you want to call it a remembrance speech, none of them used it. In addition to that, none of the people, because I had them reach out to the 6 people that would carry their casket,
Oof.
none of those 6 people used it. The best that anybody got was generous. Generous or
Mm.
giving was the best that anybody got. And, that's a function of your capacity. So
Hmm.
if that's not what we're chasing, if that's not how we're going to be remembered, and some people refute this idea of legacy,
Hmm.
then like what is the money actually for? And so like we've built all of our stuff for exit to excellence on research based proven frameworks, and we've kind of set stuff on top of it and even challenged some of the more accepted stuff because like our theses seem to prove out every time we offer them to groups. But if you go to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's got
Hmm.
5 levels. And I won't
Hmm.
tell you all 5 because I want you to actually go learn something. The bottom 2 levels can be solved by money.
Hmm.
The top 3, money can't do anything for them. And
Hmm.
so Once you get past level two and you've solved the things that money can solve, why are you still
Why are you still
trying
there?
to use money to solve the other problems? And above level five of Maslow's hierarchy need is this thing called transcendence that most people
Mm-hmm.
never get to the place of exploring because they're still trying to figure out how to self actualize. But if
Mm-hmm.
that's the case, you don't want to be remembered for your money. You don't want you know that it can't solve the majority of the problems once you're viable.
Mm-mm.
Then it is just a tool. It is just a tool and nothing more. And I think we've got the tail wagging the dog. Like, I believe that we're placed here to serve, right?
Yep.
If you've
Yep.
got people who
Yep.
have a problem and you have the capacity to solve it, that's purpose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that purpose is the magic of finding fulfillment, joy, and all these other things. You know, the freedom and the passive income and all of this other stuff is just so that you can actually be an allocator of the resources. What are
It's
the
just a
resources?
tool.
Time,
It's
talent,
just
and
a
treasure,
tool. Mm-hmm.
right?
It,
Time, talent, and treasure. You want to be an allocator of resources. The moment that you get to that place, you truly become free because you're an allocator. You get to decide where they go instead of it being decided for you.
absolutely. I'm experiencing it. I wonder, I'll get back to the storytelling piece, but you made a good point. Okay, so everybody who listens to this podcast knows my story, and I tell them, the condos, I paid them off. Yes, the Quattro Capital stuff, but even Quattro Capital, that has nothing to do with my freedom. That was much more other goals and other people and stuff. When something happened to me 3 months ago now, I got an unsolicited offer on one of the mobile home parks that I owned for years. I think me and my partner, we bought it in 2017, 2018. Since we bought it, we never took a dime from it. I didn't take any money. We just kind of reinvested it in there. We didn't really know what was going to happen. And I prayed on it. I visioned on it. And I was like, big money is going to come from somewhere. And we get this unsolicited offer. I had big money. But my take home was like 5 to 600 grand. Let me just put it to you that way. But I've been diligent with money over the years. So I had a few more places to pay off. I had a tax bill to pay off and all that. I paid everything. Instead of taking that 5, 6 and going to do, you know how people are when they get a sum of money. In today's financial terms, paying off, let's say, the four places that I paid off, and I'll tell you what I did with the rest of the money. The four places that I paid off made absolutely no sense from an annual rate of return perspective. But from a life return perspective, the only person that can get me now is the government if I don't pay taxes. So I did that. So I have this thing that's happening to me now, and I've talked to other people who are experiencing it where more is coming in beyond kind of what you're talking about with Maslow's first and second.
Mhm.
My basic needs are covered. I am spending money doing things like travel and probably a little bit more for my kids, but I can't spend what is coming in. I can't. I could if I was flamboyant or something like that, but it adds no value at all, which is what I'm trying to explain to people that you then, if that definition holds true, then you do not need to chase millions of dollars.
Mhm.
And people are chasing millions and millions and millions. And I'm wondering, so I know my outflow monthly, it's around 12 grand that I need to do all the things that I do. Beyond that, it's beyond, I feel blessed, but it's beyond.
Mhm.
Yet there are people who are like, hey man, you bought 250 million worth of real estate. Why don't you go for a billion? And I'm like,
For
for
what?
what? What am I going to do with that? In fact, all that's going to do is galvanize time. So I'm wondering, like the people you spend time with now that you coach or that these executives you're talking to are entrepreneurs, how hard it is to explain that they may be chasing somewhat of a ghost, unless it's their purpose. If it's a purpose, it's a whole different thing, or I don't know.
Money, acquiring money is never a purpose, right? The only reason to go bigger is to do what you did with that check that you carry around, right?
Yeah.
It
Oh,
is
yes, 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 yes,
to
yes.
to give, right? And if you want to build something big so that you can solve a problem by giving money to a place
Yeah.
without having to solicit other people to participate, okay, great. But that's kind of it. So,
Mm-hmm.
we got an offer 2 weeks ago. We've got a client who owns a portfolio, and
Mm-hmm.
it's right at 50 million. The offer is right at 50 million. He spends similar to you. He's like $150,000 a year guy,
Mm-hmm.
right? No real debt, no personal debt. He's
Mm-hmm.
got maybe 3 million on the 150 or on the 50 million that he got offered. And
Mm-hmm.
so, for all intents and purposes, as long as we do what we need to do tax related, he can't spend the money that he's going to get from that exit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, most people would say, okay, well, okay, great. What are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to go build a new business. For what?
Yeah.
So you can make more money? That's not the mission.
Mm-mm.
So how do we actually step into purpose? Because be
Mm-hmm.
clear, the people who are chasing corporate is because they've got bills to pay, right? They want the next promotion so that they can buy the thing that they couldn't get before, or they want to pay the bill for the thing that they bought before they could pay cash for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're on the treadmill. And I just encourage people to actually figure out what their enough is. What's your number? If you don't have a number, you're
Yeah.
endlessly going to be chasing.
Mm-hmm. I
And
call it the basic needs number.
right. And so
Yeah.
there's that monthly number that you just threw out there. And then there's if you want to play the nest egg game, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
think you have to, but if you want to play the
Mm-mm.
nest egg game, then there is a nest egg number that's going to create an X amount of cash flow so that you can live the life that you want to live. What I
Mm-hmm.
found though is many of the folks that I talked to, after about 1.5 or 2 million, the only thing that's really out of reach is a yacht and flying private everywhere.
Pretty much. Pretty
And
much.
so, like, what are you doing?
So where, but Jerome, okay, so I would say to you, actually, let me ask your advice and opinion first. Why can't people get that understanding through their head?
Because they've spent their entire lives being programmed that
There it
more is
is.
better,
There it is. There it
right?
is.
It's the American dream.
Yep.
And the fact of the matter is, if you don't get joy from cars or watches or bags or belts or purses or shoes or whatever the thing is, very quickly that number drops,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because the outflow to maintain those things for a lot of people doesn't
The
add up.
commercial things, to maintain all those commercial things. Yeah.
Things that will not in the end bring you money. And so, and I'm not, believe you me, I love cars, right? I am not the person that is the most efficient with capital
Yeah.
allocation.
Yeah.
I love international travel. We went to last year. So last year I took 194 days off. We went to Singapore
Amazing.
for F1. We didn't stand in the grandstand. We got the presidential suite and we watched the race from the room, right?
Mm.
That to me is worth more than having that money invested and getting X% return for the rest of my life. The return on those
10,000%.
memories, right?
Yep,
And
that's it.
to bring it full circle, like we've got one of the companies that we're a partner in is a podcast production company, and we do some
Mm-hmm.
social media stuff and other stuff. Our CEO from that company came over from Malaysia to have dinner with us, watch the race, and just experience and meet in person for the first time.
Brilliant.
Her entire life has changed from that experience because at this point she knows what's absolutely possible. Did she know much about F1? Probably not. But the thought that she got to do that at that level
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
magical. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and we've seen the results from it. The company just grows month after month as more people get on board and quality gets better and the standards for the team improve. And
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, do would my life be much better if I had that
That's
cash
the,
back?
that's it.
I say no. And
That's it.
so, Bill Perkins wrote this really cool book called Die with Zero,
Yep. Yep, I know
and I it shifted my perspective. Because I
Hmm.
remember when it was frugality, frugality, frugality. I remember when it was, oh, well, you've got to be a millionaire, and then you got to be accredited, and then you want to be ultra high net worth. And, you know, the more time I spend with people that are centimillionaires and the few billionaires that I've spent time with, they tell me the same thing that you're trying to tell them.
Hmm.
Like it doesn't really make that much
It
of a
it
difference.
doesn't. It's a
Like
waste of time in a lot of cases. It's a waste of time.
And the fact of the matter is, nobody out there is going to believe us, and that's okay. I hope you get there, but I just don't want you to be so deflated when you get to the top of the ladder and you look around and you realize that you spent so much of your life pursuing something
Yep.
that is not going to be the reward. It's kind of like when folks get to the executive level in a corporation and like everything's going to be better now. I'm going to be in charge, blah blah blah, or not.
That's not happiness. That's
It's
somebody else's version of happiness. If you're not building your own dream, look around. You're probably building somebody else's.
without question. And I can tell you that maximizing return to shareholders is an
Hmm.
empty mission. But that's the game. And, I played the game and, we built that division and, having 175 people on the team was good for my ego, but it wasn't good for my time. I mean,
Right.
leaving the house at 4 a.m. so that I could get back at 5 so I could pick up the kids and then get back on the
Hmm.
computer after they go to sleep. Like, what kind of life is, to
It's
me,
not.
what kind of life is that? And
So what
to,
was the sign for you? Okay, so just to frame that, both Jerome and I were in corporate. We both left at different parts of our corporate career because there was something hit us or whatever. But what is the sign? So you're now talking to the corporate executive or the nonprofit executive or the government worker or the entrepreneur who maybe is somehow generating 6 grand a month through investments or something, and maybe their basic number is 5 grand, or they can move somewhere where it's lower.
Mhm.
They now have drunk the Kool-Aid that you and I are talking about, which, by the way, I know a shit ton of people who are bringing in less than 5 grand and are living a life of multimillionaires. It's unreal. But what were the first signs for you that it was time to kind of exit the matrix, so to speak, as you always talk about?
Man, I got a call on December 24th at 4:55 that said, "Hey, Jerome, we're gonna lay half the team off." From somebody
Mm,
that I talk to every other week and saw once a quarter, right? The illusion that I was in control evaporated in that moment as I tried to advocate for those people who were going to have to find a new place to earn a living
hmm.
or earn income. I don't think they earn a living, earn income. And so, at the end of the call, I got hung up on because I was being informed of a decision, not having a negotiation. So that was step one. I went through
Hmm.
with it because I was still entrenched. I gave away my agency, I gave away my autonomy, and I pointed the finger and said they made me do it.
Hmm.
But there was
Did
something
they?
wrong with
Right.
that,
Right.
right? They didn't make me do that. I participated voluntarily. They didn't say, "Hey, Jerome, if you don't, then this." And even if they did, it still was my choice to go down this path.
Yeah.
In hindsight, it was probably selfish of me to do it. But I digress. So then fast forward, and it's the week of Thanksgiving, and I tell the team, "Hey, look, man, don't spend all of your money on Black Friday because I don't know what's going to happen between now and the end of the year." And I was like, all of the leadership credibility went out on the floor. I was like,
Mm.
what do you mean you don't know what's going to happen? These people are adjusting their lives. There was one lady on the team who decided not to go to her husband's next duty station. He was in the Navy and he was moving
Wow.
duty station. She's like, no, I'm gonna stay here.
Wow.
This is so cool. I want to continue this out. There are other people. Man, I could go down the list. But at the end of the day, like I felt responsible to them for what for the mission that we were working on and their commitment to that mission. But it
Hmm.
wasn't my mission, man. We were taking overhead power lines and putting them underground. Like,
Hmm. That's not a
okay,
mission for you. Yeah, like, okay, it's work.
yeah, the lights stay on during a thunderstorm now. Okay, like it's. I don't want to minimize it, but in the grand scheme of things, in the work that I could do, that wasn't my mission. Like that's not why I was placed here. Was I capable? Was I competent? Yeah. But that's not
Hmm.
what I was placed here to do. And, the vehicle, the bonuses, the salary, I don't think were a great use of my most valuable resource, which was my time.
But did you have, it's very easy, I got it, but it's very easy for you and I to sit where we are now and reflect on those choices. And of course, we took risk with real estate and other ventures like coaching and things of that nature. But what about the people who they feel like they feel like they can
Hmm.
transition, but they feel I don't know if it's, I have a feeling of what it was for me when I left Accenture, everybody, but when I left Accenture Police Military, even though I had real estate income coming in, I was
Hmm.
petrified.
Yeah.
I was petrified.
But you did
What
it the
what is
right
it?
way. You built it. You built it on the side. I exited to nothing.
You exited to no.
I
Okay,
had
but you
exited
did that, and
zero.
what was the benefit of that for you? I'm not even gonna go to the downsides. What was the benefit of that for you?
I was at the bottom of the pool. There was no place to go but up. I
Hmm.
literally touched the bottom. Everything was at risk. And to be clear, I thought I was exiting to buy an apartment building, but
Hmm.
every bank, I went to 10 of them, they all told me no. And one was kind enough to say you should get a partner who's already doing this. The problem was I didn't know anybody.
Anybody?
So
Hmm.
then I moved into fix and flipping because I put some capital into some other projects. And so I knew that business a little bit, but I exited to nothing. I burned all the ships. There was no place for me to go. And almost in parallel with that, I got a divorce.
Mm.
And so I blew up everything that was
Everything,
bedrock
everything.
at the
Hmm.
same time in order to move into this new space. And so, when I talk about exiting, right, you
Hmm.
can exit from corporate. We found 8 exits in our model. There's 8 exits. And then the first one is exiting being an
This is the
employee.
exit to excellence model.
Yeah.
Exit
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
excellence.
Yeah.
Okay, hit me. Yep.
So we built this framework, and I won't go through all of them, Maurice, but like
Okay.
the first exit is exiting being an employee, right? And
Mm.
then your chief everything officer. And so you think about it, like if you're an employee right now, somebody probably fills the printer. The paper is just in a cabinet somewhere. You can just go get pens and pencils from a file room. When
Hmm.
you're chief everything officer, not CEO, but chief everything officer, the trash doesn't get dumped unless you dump it, right? Like
Hmm.
you have to do everything. And that's the
Hmm.
place where most people get scared because they don't have the infrastructure, they don't have the support or the stability that they're used to from that nice, cushy enterprise role that they have.
Hmm. Hmm.
That is to me the magic. And so exiting to nothing is not a great idea. But
Hmm.
that's what I did. And from the bottom of the pool, all I had to do was swim to air. And I didn't know.
What was air for you?
So air was proving that I could make money outside of a job.
Yeah.
Right. So for all the
Yeah.
people out there who are already have some passive income, right? Some
Hmm.
income that's not trading their time for money, you're way ahead of where I was when I went
Hmm.
out because you've proven that money can be made outside of exchange for your time.
Yeah, but I don't want people. Well, I did have passive income coming in. I did have real estate income coming in. I certainly worked my ass off for it, as you know. But I always espouse to people, please stop assuming because real estate was my tool of choice that that is what I'm suggesting. That's not what I'm suggesting at all. There's many tools.
Yeah. And so the ability to create money outside of a job is the magic.
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah,
have to
it's a
be
skill.
an asset, right? And in fact, I encourage people not to do something that has debt service when they're starting because that goes in, it goes against your freedom number
Hmm.
because it's
Hmm.
something else, it's another obligation. And so if you can figure out how to take your skill and create money with that, do that
Amazing.
because it's low to no leverage and
Yep.
it gives you an opportunity to create income. Like just imagine, taking a client at $5,000 a month doing the same thing that you're doing right now because be clear, whatever you're getting paid by the corporation, they're making 3x on it.
That's it.
And
That's
so
it.
if you can just take whatever your hourly rate is and create that on the outside, you're you've got a huge opportunity
You
in front
got
of
it.
you. And my man Myron Golden, he talks about, be creating creating an offer that allows you to get the residuals of having X amount of dollars deployed. So if you want to make, let's call it $60,000 a year, and you you create, that's equivalent of $5,000 a month.
A month. Yeah.
If you had $1 million deployed and you were making 6% on that $1 million, that's the equivalent of $1 million invested somewhere.
That's it.
I
That
watch so many.
people don't realize that.
Yeah, right. And so when you look at Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, I watch so
Hmm.
many people go from the employee quadrant to the investor quadrant. They skip over self-employed and they skip over business owner. And for
Hmm.
the life of me, I can't understand why, because
Hmm.
specifically business owner is where you make the biggest multiples. Out
Big time.
of the ROI is just so massive if you get it done right. And then you can take that and invest it. But this notion, and you're the first person that I heard use the word notion, so I like to use notion.
Okay.
You This notion that you should take your income and then invest it in some asset and think that that's going to move the needle on your monthly income needs is laughable to me in most
Hmm.
cases.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
just watch people think, oh, I invest this $50,000. Okay, great. Even if you get a 10% return, that's $5,000 a year. That's not going to solve your problem. We need to figure out 5,000 a month and
A
then
month.
10,000 a month. And then once you get about 10,000 a month for most people, it's going to solve all of your need problems.
Yeah. And where people get hung up, and this is why I like to debunk real estate. I don't want any of my listeners or anybody in the world thinking that Jerome and or I are espousing that real estate is the path for everybody, because it's not. And frankly, I don't recommend to anybody that they do real estate at the level that I've tried to do it. It's unnecessary if your primary goal is freedom. But LinkedIn is one of the best resources that I've ever run into as far as people becoming free, because it has 950 million thousand users, maybe a billion by now. And all you have to do to hit that 5,000 number, Jerome, that you're talking about is 1250 a week. 1250 a week at 5 days, let's just call it a work day. At 5 days, it's $250 a day. So we're talking about earning $250 a day. It doesn't have to be from one person. It could be from three people, which means whatever, 80 bucks, 80, $85 a day from each of three people. Well, how am I going to do that, Maurice? I'm an accountant. I'm a teacher. I'm a nurse. I'm a nonprofit executive. Take that skill set, turn it into something that will add value to something. Your job is to go find the people who will pay for that value, give them way more value than they actually are paying for, and it will blossom, because people will there was always somebody out there who will pay for something you need. And this goes back to what I call the basic needs number and what you have called the freedom number, or just knowing your number. If you know your number and you're generating it, why are you don't necessarily have to be at the W2. Now, what I tell people is stay at the W2 as long as you can stomach it, but make sure, as you said, Jerome, you're pushing that money over into the I quadrant, into the B quadrant, taking your self-employed income, pushing it into the B quadrant or the I quadrant. That's what I was good at. I wasn't a good real estate investor. I was good at taking the money and throwing it into the four walls of real estate where I couldn't get at it because I was undisciplined. But my discipline was to put it in places where I couldn't get it because I knew I was undisciplined. You know what I mean? So it's not as difficult as people make it out to be. So now that you're helping people focus on the exit, what is the number, let's say the number one issue that you do run into relative to the entrepreneur trying to roll out, the executive trying to roll out, the 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 working mom trying to roll out? What's the biggest thing you see?
Yeah, I think regret is tied to them wanting to exit from instead of exit to.
Exit from. Explain that. I think I know what you're saying, but explain
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I let it bake because you're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, you did. I saw your eyes. Yeah.
this guy is weird. I don't know. Think about it, right? So
Yeah.
I'll paint a picture for you because I mean,
Yeah.
I can't take credit for it. I'm having dinner with Damon John in Miami, and I'm like, hey, Damon, like, you're the shark. You're the people's shark. What's the deal? Like, what makes a good exit? He's like, exit on your terms, exit at your price, know what's next, and prepare for a void. I was like, okay, so know what's next. He's like, yeah, most people just are trying to get out. Their goal is to get out, and then they're sitting in a
No,
sea
of
on a
nothingness.
boat and they
Hmm.
can't sell.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so what looks like freedom becomes a prison.
Hmm.
Oh. So what
Hmm.
you're saying is all this freedom that people are chasing, it just becomes a prison if they don't know what they're going to do with it. And
Yep.
this is why the word allocator is so important. So you have your time, talent, and your treasure, and you can do anything in the world that you want with it. And your goal is to get out so that you don't know what to do with it.
Hmm.
If you look at Kabbalah or any of the other teachings, the vessel won't fill because you don't have a purpose for it. And so they
Yep.
stay trapped in this space. And if you talk about law of attraction or any of this other stuff, uh, purpose is necessary.
It's very necessary. It's very necessary. So, for what it's worth, and I like to be open about my journey to the folks that are interested in listening to it. Again, I'm grateful for all the careers. I'm grateful for the real estate. I'm grateful for the travels and stuff like that. But okay, I've done my own, I'm pulling back majorly, right? I just told you I deleveraged a lot of stuff. I'm living more simply than ever. There's a void I'm having to deal with.
Mhm.
I'm having to learn how to be still. I'm having to learn how to be idle. Sit with self, because what ends up happening, just so people understand, is you start creating work for work's sake, because that's what we've been crafted to do. When I drafted up what I call my current life operation, my life operations plan, or my operations model, everything that I wrote on that thing said was something about me doing, building, investing.
Mhm.
Everything. It was about doing.
No
Now
being.
what it is about being. I am a waterman, meaning I just showed you I'm either on the water, recreating by the water, working by the water, wakeboarding, surfboarding, whatever. You have to learn how to actually be on this beautiful planet the way it was intended. And actually, what I now tell my own coaching students, even though I've even slowed that down, you got to go back to knowing how to be a kid again and explore and plug into Mother Nature and feel good about life every day and watch the Saturday morning cartoons and sit with it and not feel like you have to run around because you see everybody else running around. And admittedly, I'm having to go through that transition now as well.
Mhm. Yeah, the shift from doing to being is the thing that I think elevates you to a level of consciousness that most people will never experience.
Mm.
That awareness, though, allows you to see things happen in flow state.
Yeah, I'm experiencing
And
it.
so when you're in flow state, it's almost as if you move to this new world. And I've watched in so many instances where people fight this experience of being.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's usually tied to the first level of the centers of doubt, which is self image, and us having to prove that we're good enough,
Yeah.
having to prove to somebody as a child that we deserve love. Uh,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
we never heal those wounds. And so as adults, we're still trying to prove that we deserve or we belong.
I have to tell you, there are 9 billion people on this planet, and somewhere along the line, someone taught us that we're supposed to be right in everything that we do. So we try to convince everybody that we are right. Do you know the amount of energy we have spent trying to convince people that we are right? And your ultimate power will come when you don't give a shit anymore. And one of the best statements I say, and I cannot take credit from this, but I don't know where I picked it up, is your opinion of what I do, how I do it, and where I do it is none of my business anyway. I don't care. And that's the thing. And I think sometimes that confidence gets confused for arrogance. It's not that. It's just that I've learned that the only person I have to please is just myself. That's where you have the relationship with yourself, what makes you happy, what you want to do. So that's kind of where I am. Let me ask you, just as we wrap up, looking back, what is one decision that truly changed your life path? You did talk about exiting the W-2 in that particular situation, but was that the one thing, or is there another moment that shaped you? And if so, how did it shape you?
Yeah. Raylisha asked me, do you still know how to dream?
Mm,
Or are you just living through everybody else's dream?
hmm.
And foundationally, that challenged everything that I thought was important because I was
Wow.
proving, right? I was doing all the things that I thought I should do in order to have other people accept me and
Hmm.
think I
Hmm.
was valuable or try to make my life matter. And the fact of the matter is, our dreams are placed in our hearts so that we can inspire, encourage, and help other people through us actually living those things out. And that for me was the magic moment for sure.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, you have helped people live their dreams out. You have inspired people. I think I sent you a text, I don't know, a few months ago or something when I was calling you out on a podcast. And I said,
Yeah,
My
I
friend
watched the whole
Jerome
thing.
told me this is how all this stuff started. So I am a great case study of you putting yourself out there and challenging someone, especially someone who's brown and black the way that we are, because it's even more not prevalent in our community for people to push each other this way. I will say, you, the listener, people will come by you and say things the way Jerome said to me. The challenge is you have to recognize it and listen to it. And sometimes we're so busy. We are so busy chasing what social media tells us to do, or what our family upbringing told us to do, or what the guidance counselor told us to do. When somebody says something that would speak to your soul and spirit, that will send you on this journey. I'm doing this podcast from coastal Lebanon right now, not really having too much else to do for the week. Not to suggest that that's what everybody should be doing, but it's what I should be doing at this point. I'm turning 50 in 2 weeks. At this point where I am, I'm not waiting to 70 years old to start enjoying everything that's been created. You create now, and you inspired that, brother. And I just finally wanted to catch up with you, get you on the podcast, acknowledge your role in my journey, and what I assume, no, what I know is thousands and thousands, if not millions, of other people's journeys. And ladies and gentlemen, Jerome Myers, you have got to track this brother down on his podcast. And I'll ask Jerome, with your final comments, to also state where folks can track you down the best way.
Yeah. For those out there who just want to follow their journey, LinkedIn's the best place to go. We're the only Jerome that's talking about exits, and it doesn't matter whether you're exiting your corporate career or exiting your company, it all applies. And
Mm,
whether it's retirement or being work optional, the goal is to get there as quickly as possible. It's not an age, it's a financial problem that you have to solve. And
hmm.
so,
Hmm.
Maurice, really grateful that you're sharing your platform with me. It's amazing what you've built. I remember when you had no followers, and then you look up and there's people everywhere, and there's coaching programs. And this is in addition to all of the cool real estate stuff that has been happening. And I'm just grateful to be connected. I still remember St. Lucia, man. He flew in late.
Yeah.
We're on a boat. I got a picture on a boat with Maurice, which we pulled into the marina, and in the comparison, like we compare, I was like, do we have the biggest boat? I feel like we had the biggest boat that
I
day.
think we had the biggest book. I was kind of proud of us at that moment too, man. It was dope. It was actually that I kind of forgot about that, but that was a dope experience, man. I appreciate it. Well, I guess that'll wrap us up. Jerome, it's good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too.
Stick around for 1 second, man. We haven't caught up in a while. Hey guys, this is Maurice, host of the Try Life On podcast, and thank you for listening to another episode. I hope you are finding it useful in helping you design your own lifestyle that you don't need a vacation from. If that's the case, please consider dropping a review for me, whether in Apple, iTunes, or in Spotify. Drop a review, put some stars on it. Give me some feedback on how I can make the podcast better, what information you are looking for. I am doing my best to get information to you on the Try Life On principles, the 5 freedoms, how to build lifestyle, travel hacking, all of it. And I want to do it for you. So please do a review for me. And until next time, my name is Maurice Philogene, and this is the Try Life On podcast. Peace.